Our guest is Bob Dane. He works for FAIR, the Federation for American Immigration Reform.
And I called him because we talked with Henry Cuellar yesterday, and I said, obviously Henry Cuellar's been doing some good things, making some noise over on the
Did you
Hill.
snuff the candle out in front of the Henry Cuellar altar here?
He is, he's getting way more done than Ruben Hinojosa, who is, where does he be found?
Who put Tabasco sauce in your oatmeal this morning?
You asked me. I'm just going to let you know. Where's Ruben Hinojosa?
What has he ever done to merit this? Every day you pound on him. Every day.
He's in our district. He's not doing anything. Anyway, beside that, I have Bob Dane on the phone.
He actually is doing something. He's just not doing what we want him to do.
I'd rather talk to Bob than you right now.
Bob's going,
hey, he'd rather talk to me.
I'm booked on Opie and Andy, and I got to get along.
So Bob, we had Henry Cuellar yesterday, and he was telling us about his bill, co-sponsoring it with somebody not in his party, John Cornyn. And you guys are saying that you guys were up until midnight or later with the policy team analyzing it. What's in this bill that we need to look out for?
Yeah, a couple of things. Remember, Obama asked. Let me set the stage for this. Last week, remember, Obama asked Congress for almost $4 billion to manage the problem.
Yeah, 3.7.
Before they pull out the checkbook, you've got lawmakers in both the House and the Senate cooking up some legislation. I think there's one bill that's really out front. It is Senator Cornyn's bill. It is Congressman Cuellar's. It does two things. Sort of good news, bad news. It changes that 2008 anti-trafficking law, which has become the focus of the debate, so that any Central American illegal alien minor coming into the U.S. can be returned quickly.
Okay.
So that's good news. But buried in the latter part of the bill is this. It says that all illegal alien minors who have already entered the U.S. way back to last January of last year, can go ahead and file a motion to have their final order of removals expunged, and then it gives them the opportunity to reapply.
Reapply for to stay here?
Reapply for admission into the United States. Look, we're in an urgent crisis. We need expedited removal of most, if not all of these kids, humanely, if we're ever going to send a message that we're serious about enforcing the laws. But this approach, and you can call it amnesty, you can call it whatever you want, you can call it a redo, but it allows each of these kids, could be upwards of 70, 80,000 who have come in over the last 18 months, to stay and take another bite at the apple. It's a poke. Look, there's a reason they call it a final order of deportation. It's a poke in the eye.
So
every immigration judge over the last 18 months who's given a deportation order, and this could very well give a stay or removal to almost 80,000 illegal aliens.
Is that how many people we're talking about from January 13?
Well, you had about 30,000 of them come in last year, and you guys know we're pushing about 60,000 this year, and that number goes up thousands each week. So yeah, I mean that is a rough estimate.
Are we talking about unaccompanied minors or just people in general?
Unaccompanied minors.
Okay.
Look, first of all, an illegal alien who's been given a final order of removal needs to be removed, not offered a do-over. Why clog up a maxed-out court system that's already allocated the time and the money and the resources making a final determination? I mean, there's a reason they call it final order of removal. Look, first part of that bill, I think it makes a ton of sense to change that anti-trafficking bill. But if you're interested in that, there is a bill that's going to be probably put in the hopper this week from the House, Carter, Adderholt, and Kingston bill. And all that does is just fixes the 2000 anti-trafficking bill. It's one we endorse. It doesn't have a lot of fluff on it, and I think it's one you may see Republicans gravitating towards.
Well, you had Cuellar on yesterday, not Cornyn. I'm sorry. We had Cuellar on yesterday, and he was saying how it's obviously bipartisan and it's going to get the job done. We're going to try and allocate. We really want to allocate some money to get some more federal judges to get these deportation hearings, which we have a backlog of like over 300,000. We need to get this ball rolling. Why would he put some legislation in a bill that would kind of seemingly spit in the face of previous deportation hearings or federal judges who did this, immigration judges?
There's no rationale at all, none that we can figure out. Again, the first half of that bill makes a lot of sense. Remember, look, Congress has the upper hand right now. Obama needs a couple of $1 billion, so Congress has something he needs, money and tons of it. So here's the deal they ought to make. Maybe we'll give you the money to house and process these kids, but in return, you're going to guarantee they're going to be removed. You're going to deploy the National Guard, and you're going to make these changes to the 2000 Anti-Trafficking Act. if Congress doesn't understand, they're sitting there with a royal flush in their hands, and they've got the upper hand, and that they should need to exercise the power of the purse now. When will they ever? But the bad news is it's checkmate all the way around, because Reid and the Democrats do not want to change that anti-trafficking bill. We may not get legislation this year.
We'll go back a little bit even to this bill that you were just talking about. What is a kid, an unaccompanied minor illegal immigrant kid, have to do? He's already been deported. He's got the final notice and such. If this bill gets passed, he can just put it in the shredder and go on his merry way.
Yeah, the kid would have to get a lawyer, go back to court, and appeal to the court to reverse the decision. Look, they're supposed to show up to plead their case. They're not supposed to show up to completely erase the order to come to court. Look, I'd like to do that the next time I got a traffic ticket. It's way too complicated. Frankly, the simplest thing to do, the simplest, easiest fix, and I've been thinking about this today, why the devil? If you think about Obama, why couldn't he just declare in a nationwide address, look, we've got problems in Congress, we've got gridlock and checkmates all over the place. We're going to figure out a solution legislatively, but today, tonight, as of midnight, I'm deploying the National Guard to the border. There's no political downside to do that, and I don't have an answer as to why he won't do that.
Yeah,
Harry certainly desperately needs it.
Because the Democratic
and you guys on the front lines know better than anyone.
Well, I personally am in favor of it, but the Democratic Party is adamantly opposed to it.
They've done it before,
in Congress,
though.
Congressional Democratic Party. They surged some guys down here to do paperwork, which is what's being proposed again. They're not proposing to have them march along the border, but there is a resistance to the National Guard coming down that just runs right through the Congressional Democratic, I guess the Democratic Party nationally.
Well, you've got...
So they're buying...
Sure, you got Harry Reid saying the border is already secure. That's going to be news to you and your listeners and the ranchers who live on the property. He refuses to fix the traffic law. The bigger issue here is we have had years of dismantling of interior and perimeter enforcement, and it's very clear that the president and his leftist allies have one objective in mind, and that is to simply gut the functioning of the U.S. immigration and entry controls and to make it so unworkable that virtually everyone gets in. And guess who they vote for? That sounds conspiratorial. I don't sit around reading the National Enquirer all day. But, we were telegraphing this message that the president has been using immigration as a blunt political instrument 4 or 5 years ago, and I think the public is beginning to recognize it. Astonishingly, even the mainstream media is beginning to report honestly on this issue.
Do you all have any way of predicting or reading the congressional tea leaves? You've got a lot of the Democratic Party in the House saying they're just not going to go along with the changing the 2008 anti-trafficking law that with a couple of local immigration lawyers, for example, saying it will not provide due process to the Central Americans. Do you have any way of knowing what's likely to pass out?
I'm never hesitant to handicap stuff. This one is the biggest mess, the greatest political divide we've ever seen. There's a couple of options. They can kick the can down the road, go home for August recess.
I predict that one, by the way.
Yeah, and hope that they regain control of the Senate. There's the wild card of course, of the lame duck session. My fear is, it's not a fear. I hope that this border surge of these unaccompanied minors slows down, but my fear is that when and if that happens, Obama says, hey, mission accomplished. Illegal immigration is over. We're popping the champagne glasses. We fixed everything. Now it's time for amnesty, and I'll do it by executive action. So that'll probably happen when I'm sitting on a beach chair in Ocean City on, some late Friday afternoon, which is his modus operandi, August 14th.
Why are so many people in favor of
style.
Why are so many people in favor of the president doing something, via executive order, something as big as this, when I think that general consensus is proven? Both sides, both parties have said that the last time they did something by himself, Obamacare, Affordable Care Act, it was a screw up. Why would anybody be in favor of him trying to fix the immigration thing all by himself?
No one is in favor of it, but he has been ruling by executive power and usurp. What's amazing is a week ago he had a White House address. He blamed the Republicans for the current border surge because, of course, they didn't pass amnesty. That's just like crazy talk. That makes about as much sense as blaming Big Bird for the problem. And then he told Congress, to heck with you. I'm going to go ahead and get things done by executive action. And then the very next day, he goes hat in hand over to Congress, the very folks he just dissed, and said, may I have $3.7 billion, please?
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, I don't think Congress is in the mood to horse trade anything with this president.
I don't know if you saw Florida Senator Rubio. Rubio's remarks that the comprehensive immigration bill that he was for would not have stopped the surge, because people were saying if we just passed comprehensive reform, this would not have happened. He says, no, this wouldn't have stopped the Central American kids from coming at all.
Well, you know, we gave him a little tough love, Senator Rubio. He's a good man. He finally saw the light. Look, I think we all understand the Senate bill was an insult to our intelligence. The enforcement provisions were a joke, and it was mostly an amnesty bill masquerading as an enforcement bill. Look, the status quo might stink, but it was better than that bill was.
Bob Dane of Federation for American Immigration Reform, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. We appreciate it.
Thanks for all your good work, guys.
Yes, sir. You're listening to 710 KURV.